Former President Donald Trump has been indicted again, this time on serious federal charges, including violating the Espionage Act. But over on Fox News and in MAGA world, it seems like they simply couldn't process the titanic, overwhelming case against their cult leader, and it went down a little bit like this. You're going to want to see this for yourself, and we've got plenty of MAGA tears to show you. But first, let's just remind ourselves what this case is about and what we know about the indictment.
Former President Donald Trump has been indicted on charges of mishandling classified documents at his Florida estate. CBS News has learned there are 7 counts. These charges are related to the retention of national defense information.
The alleged violations include the unlawful retention of national defense information, as well as obstruction. More than 300 records, including 60 marked top secret, were recovered at his Mar-a-Lago home.
Now, let's be crystal clear. This is an extremely strong case. In fact, the first brain that seems to have broken from the weight of it is Donald Trump's.
Let me just take you inside the Trump inner circle tonight. They are shocked. One source close to Trump tells us just minutes ago that there's been way too much happy talk about a possible indictment. Trump wasn't expecting this.
Why is this case so strong? There was so much evidence that Trump intentionally broke the law that a federal judge ordered Donald Trump's lawyer to turn over all of his notes and recordings, something that's extremely rare and only happens when a judge is really sure. It's something called the crime fraud exception to attorney-client privilege.
This is an unusual case. It deals with attorney-client privilege. In short, Trump's lawyer, Evan Corcoran, turned over his own voice memos about his private conversations with Trump, and those voice notes, those notes he has in a notebook, now in the hands of prosecutors. So they're on edge. Everything that's happened behind the scenes is now on the table.
Because so many members of the inner circle, Trump's inner circle, have not only testified and been interviewed, but their concern provided crucial evidence and information.
But special counsel Jack Smith has the goods from many more sources than that.
It's not just the inner circle, it's the outer circle. The janitors at Mar-a-Lago, the low-level press staff, the Secret Service agents, they've all been called in one by one in a silent process by this special counsel to say, did Trump tell you to move documents from the basement to his office? How did he handle it when the subpoena came in?
His own lawyer's been in the grand jury. We have, apparently the special counsel has President Trump on tape himself talking about a very serious classified document involving war plans for Iran. So, that's of the utmost seriousness. And if you put obstruction of justice on top of that, then that's a very strong case. Keep in mind, no prosecutor would ever think of indicting a former president unless they had an overwhelmingly strong case.
So when you start to see the Fox News and MAGA world reaction, bear in mind that they actually get this. They know how bad this is. And that's why their deflections, defenses, and downright desperation are so obvious here. The first thing they tried was to deflect in the world's most embarrassing whataboutism.
The former president announced this news just moments ago himself in a post on his social media platform, Truth Social. Here's the quote: "The corrupt Biden administration has informed my attorneys that I have been indicted, seemingly over the boxes hoax, even though Joe Biden has 1,850 boxes at the University of Delaware, additional boxes in Chinatown and D.C.
And of course, they included Donald Trump's own protest.
I never thought it was possible that such a thing could happen to a former president of the United States. I am an innocent man."
Question here is, who did it better, Trump or the parrot?
I'm an innocent man. I'm an innocent person.
I'm innocent, I'll tell you. Innocent.
Fox next trotted out former acting Attorney General of the United States under President Trump, Matthew Whitaker. He's a shady figure who has stayed barely one step ahead of the law himself. So, of course, he can't even fathom why on earth they might prosecute a criminal.
It's a really sad day for our country. I mean, if you believe in the rule of law and if you believe in equal justice under the law, this should concern you. But I just see this as another example of that, where the Department of Justice is for some reason going after him.
Screaming grandpa Mark Levin doesn't seem to think that criminals should be prosecuted for crimes either.
They're throwing all these process crimes and all these crimes that grow out of the criminal investigation against Trump. What did he do with the documents? Did he sell them to the enemy? No. That's why we have an Espionage Act, not the trick of a president. What did he do?
All of which was a great reminder of the famous analysis by noted legal scholar George Santos from the last time Trump was indicted.
Congressman, is any president above the law?
No.
But is this DA going to start criminalizing criminals?
The Fox News meltdowns only got worse from there.
I'm embarrassed to be a lawyer at this moment. Honestly, I am ashamed. I am ashamed to be a lawyer. I'm ashamed that this is the state of our country. And it is so obvious that there's this dual system of justice. This is selective prosecution, selective persecution. It is absolute persecution. It is Russia third world stuff, and it should not be happening.
Good news, Alina. You're not really a lawyer. I mean, you're Donald Trump's lawyer, which means you're a court officer in the same way that Captain Crunch is a military officer. Next, Ben Shapiro, weighed in with the super sharp legal point that this is all okay, because under the law, if you really want to take something, you just take it.
That was the actual reason he had the documents. Not for any nefarious purpose, but because Trump likes things and so he takes them.
Back at Fox News, Charlie Hurt tried to say this isn't about taking our nation's top secrets and illegally leaving them vulnerable at Mar-a-Lago a few feet away from where foreign nationals were coming every day, and then lying about it to federal prosecutors and trying to hide the documents and then lying about whether you had hidden the documents.
But if you square up the documents that Donald Trump had, that's debatable whether or not he was even allowed to have them because he's a former president.
What we have here is a constitutional debate about what are presidential records and how are they kept.
This is just a simple administrative misunderstanding about how you retain records. That's like saying, I didn't rob the bank. This is a simple administrative misunderstanding about whether the money should be kept in your vault or kept safe in my basement. Other Fox analysts tried confusing us with a giant word salad. Seriously, see if you can understand a freaking word of this.
To punch in the face, not just us, but Washington and Adams and Jefferson and Hamilton and everyone who came after. Lincoln, everyone who died on the field at Gettysburg to save this nation. That is who is being punched in the face right now. Donald Trump, thank God, he is willing to still stand for us and for this country, her past and her future, because this is the kind of guy he is. And no matter who you are, if you're wobbling about him or you're just not sure, this vote now is about everyone, not just him. And it shows you what they're afraid of. They're afraid of a future that is clear and that exposes them, but also remakes us again as the sovereign. That is what they cannot stand.
Real America's Voice host Grant Stinchfield and Jewish space lasers enthusiast Marjorie Taylor Greene competed to see who could rationalize all of this in the dumbest way possible for Fox News viewers, either because none of this would matter or because somehow this gigantic disaster actually constituted a win.
It won't matter. There's nothing in the Constitution that says he can't be president from inside prison. And then once he gets there, well, he can pardon himself.
Well, I have to tell you, Laura, I feel like we're winning. And we won some today when everyone feels like we're losing, especially with this indictment of President Trump.
The thing is, it would be easy to dismiss all of this as the voices of a bunch of far-right media clowns pandering to their audience. But it's not. That's the most important thing to remember here. The leadership of the Republican Party is all circling their wagons around Trump and defending him and parroting his language. See what I did there?
I'm innocent, I'll tell you.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says this is a dark day and that he stands with President Trump against this grave injustice. Senator Marco Rubio says, don't look at the mountain of evidence of serious crimes. This is all about people protecting their power and ripping the country apart. Ron DeSantis hits the weaponization of law enforcement theme and then goes into a fever dream about a future DeSantis administration. That seems likely. Steve Scalise also does the weaponization thing, but Congressman Clay Higgins may have taken the cake with his totally unhinged and unintelligible rant. This is a perimeter probe from the oppressors. Hold, buckle up, 150K, know your bridges. Rock steady calm, that is all.
Cool, I broke his brain.
The thing is, we could play lots more clips, but it all begins to sound exactly the same. Trust us, we've watched a lot of this stuff. This isn't about Donald Trump. This is about all of them. It's like the Home Depot rule. You broke it, you bought it. When all of these people lined up behind Donald Trump and defended him for his crimes and defended him in both of his impeachments and defended him and protected him when he led an insurrection and attacked our country, and when the majority of elected Republicans voted to overturn the election, they own this. That's why they're so panicked, because his guilt is their guilt, and they are terrified of what that means.